Welcome to the Awakening Women Show. I'm your host, Leanne Oaten, a former counselor with a background in counseling psychology. I'm a mentor for high-achieving, ambitious women with over 13 years in the mental health and empowerment space. I've guided hundreds of women and have influenced over 100,000 through my platforms, podcast, and other courses, programs, and mentorship. I'm also the creator of the Relationship Clarity program, formerly known as End the Cycle, which you will hear me mention a lot of times as we go through the episodes. This program is to help women break free from destructive relationship cycles and come to clarity and power about their next step. This show is for the woman who knows her relationship struggles go deeper than the usual conflict. You know there's something more going on, but you can't quite nail it down or pinpoint what that is. You'll find clarity here, empowerment, truth, and validation. Clarity on whether your relationship can be healed or whether it's time to reclaim your life and move forward. What started as me sharing my own experiences quickly became a movement because the truth is, so many ambitious, successful women are stuck in confusing and draining relationship dynamics while trying to rise in every other area of their life, career, motherhood. This is you, you're not alone, and you don't have to keep living this way. Inside this podcast, you'll hear some of my most downloaded episodes, plus fresh content designed to help you break patterns, reclaim your wholeness, and decide once and for all if this relationship is where you belong. I'm so glad you found the space. Let's dive in. Welcome to this edition of the Awakening Women podcast. I'm your host, Leanne Oaten. And in this episode, we're talking about energy and emotions and how high-level women who are energetically sensitive and have not integrated this level of sensitivity and having that connection with their body and emotional energy leaves them susceptible for people to suck them dry. So there's a lot of talk about energy and how people can be energy vampires and draining and all these things. But what most of these teachings don't highlight that is very important for us to understand as self-sourced women is that we give them the hookup. We're like, here, go ahead and suck me dry because I have no boundaries on my energy or my emotions. And this is really a deep level of work I do with women in my mentorship spaces and my one-on-one coaching and in my courses is teaching you how to come back into self-sourced power, meaning you don't give someone the keys to unlock your energy. This means that people need to earn access. And this is true for new people, for acquaintances, for at work, with friends, and especially romantic partners, because we seem to get this idea that we owe men something when we are in a relationship to them. And we give them access to parts of us that aren't earned or aren't frankly appropriate for the level of relationship. Or you're married long term and you're with someone that is mistreating you. They're disrespecting you. They're misusing their access to you. And then you continue to give them more of that access, hoping that's going to change things. When what you really need to do is tighten up those energetic and emotional drains and start to repair those energetic fractures. And when we have this energetic and emotional misalignment, it does leave us feeling drained. It can, and even with people who don't intend to do that. Have you ever had the experience where you're hanging out with someone or you're in someone's energy and you're having a conversation and you suddenly just feel like you can't hold your head up, or maybe you get dizzy, or you're suddenly really drained, or you notice yourself going on and on about what's not working in your life or what you know is not going well, or complaining when you know consciously that is not a good way to be managing your energy. You are trying to be a person that isn't focused on what's wrong and you try to focus on things that are going well. And with certain people, you can kind of get wrapped up in talking about drama or things that are not going well. This can often be because you are connecting to that person's stagnancy or their stagnant energy or things they have going on with them or within their body. And I know I've not talked about this before. This is new, not new to me though. This is work that I have been doing for a very long time on myself energetically because I am very prone to this. And I can easily tap in and feel what someone else is feeling, even not intentionally. This would happen to me a lot when I did my one-on-one therapy in my practice. I had to do a lot of work energetically to hold that space for clients because sometimes they would be working through some pretty intense things. And I would suddenly feel dizzy or like really, really thrown off, or this feeling in my body. And I had to learn to energetically hold that without allowing it to drain me. In my very starting of my practice, I would go home just completely a wreck because I didn't have these skills. And this was never the client's fault whatsoever. That is fully on the practitioner, the therapist, the person who is there leading someone through. That's why we need to have education in processing people's emotions and trauma and their sensitive materials. And that's why I'm a firm believer that I won't invest in getting mentorship from someone that doesn't have the credentials to do that kind of work. You hear a lot of stuff about nervous system coaches and trauma coaches. Where's the credentials? Where are you learning how to do this? Because let me tell you, it takes a level of skill and experience to be able to hold that level of energy for someone else. And we have to be doing our own work to be able to hold that energy. So I'm speaking to it from this macro level of I do this for a living. I've been doing this for over 13 years as a living, holding space for some pretty intense stuff that women have been experiencing. And you can imagine that given the nature of the work I've been doing, helping women disentangle from covert emotional abuse, narcissistic abuse, other types of abuse that leave them feeling very discombobulated and torn as to where to go from here. Smart, successful, high-earning, high-achieving women that are brilliant, but they are entangled energetically and emotionally with men in a way that they lose themselves. Okay? So this is not about that there's something wrong with you or that you're not doing it right or you're not doing enough, because if you are like most women I work with, you're doing all the things. However, when we are emotionally sensitive, especially if we have experienced trauma, we tend to be more highly attuned to what's going on around us. I used to be really, really caught up in this. I don't feel like I am anymore because I do have these energetic and emotional boundaries and this awareness of myself that I know that I do this and that I can get into this if I'm not careful about my energy. And so I want to say, when we're talking about this online, you can see where there's a lot of victim consciousness around toxic men, toxic this, and they're toxic vampires and all this. I don't come at it from this because that is a disempowering way to look at it. If everything is always about these other people, we are not taking ownership for managing ourselves. This is where I see women getting really trapped, is that they're doing all of the cognitive work, the consuming of information, but they're not in their bodies and they're not aware of what they're feeling, and they don't know how to close energetic and emotional access, even to someone they are married to. And this is what they have to learn how to do. And this may very well be exactly what you need to do. And so this is not about toxic people, toxic men, because that's giving away our power. Let's be honest, we have likely drained other people's energy when we have been ruminating about things we are going through. So we have to be aware of our own energy. This energetic and emotional boundary is not just about what we're allowing to come in, but it's what we are putting out. Oversharing, over trauma processing, telling people things that we didn't have permission to tell them, dumping our trauma, dumping this, complaining, going on and on without actually doing anything to change who we're being. So you have probably drained someone else when they have felt consumed by what you have been sharing. So this is where we have to take energetic and emotional self-responsibility. So if you have ever felt dizzy or heavy or very discombobulated, disconnected out of your body after a certain interaction, this is a sign. And then take full responsibility that we have given access in that way. I can have this still happen to me at a point where I can be thrown off and feel I have a threshold. And this is true in crowds. This is true when I'm in grocery stores or I'm around a lot of chatter and a lot of talking. I can get depleted very quickly, and I'm aware of it, and I need to take steps to take care of myself. So if it's a crowd or an event, or there's been lots of people and a lot of that chatter and a whole bunch of people chattering, that is like a complete drain for me very quickly. I either need to excuse myself and leave, or I need to go take a breath, go outside, take a breath of fresh air to re-ground myself into my body. So there's ways that we can take ownership for our sensitivity and not let it completely derail us. But we have to first understand that this is what happens, that this is what the issue is. And this is part of the patternings that I see with women who are in relationships that they feel drained by, emotionally drained, energetically drained. But what they discover is that it's not just there that they have experienced this. Because typically when we are running from one thing, we run right into the same thing with another person. So if you are someone that ran from a home life environment that you wanted to get away from, there's a pretty good chance that you ran into a relationship with a man that mimicked something that you were running away from. And until we stop running away from what we need to feel and move, we're going to keep recreating it in other situations. This is the reason why women repeat these patterns with men over and over and over again, because they've been running from the very thing they need to stand still and face, themselves. And this is why having that emotional self-management and being able to be in our bodies, like inhabit your body, feel where things are landing in your body. This is where the real work begins. And this is where I have women start when they come in to work with me, is where do you start with this process? If you find yourself very easily knocked off course by someone else's moods, someone else's behaviors, someone else's judgments, you're easily influenced by someone else's thoughts and behaviors to the point where you lose sight of your own. And most women think that it's a relationship problem, but it's not, because you could leave this relationship and take you with you wherever you go. This is why it's not just as simple as leaving, because wherever you go, there you are. You move to another place, you get away from the man. And yes, in most cases, that is exactly what you needed to do. But now, instead of moving on to the next thing or the next relationship, you've got to feel what you need to feel and process through, not just talking. This is actually doing the embodiment work matched with the right actions to move you forward, because we can process ourselves into a dark hole. There's a time for it, but there's also a time for movement. And I know you have done a lot of things. You're very good at the doing. And I know that's true for women that come into my space. We are very good at doing all the things, but oftentimes we are just doing ourselves into the ground. And we need to stop with all the doing and start being someone new. A woman who is being in her body, who is being energetically responsible with where she's giving her energy. With men, with clients, with bosses, with family members, even their older children, with friends, all of it. Because how you do one thing is often how you do everything. And you can blame the man, but the pattern resides within you. And that is where I have always come from. That has been the premise of my work. And some who are caught in their victim righteousness have definitely accused me of victim blaming. They're not meant for my work. If that's how it comes across to you, that that's what I'm doing, then you wouldn't even probably be listening to this, or you will sign off and not come back and think that this is all bullshit and I'm just here to blame women. But those of you who have that capacity for depth, for this intuitive knowing, who have been here for a while, it's because it resonates with you and you know it's true. It's truth that lands in your body. You know this is true, that you have given access, that you have misstepped your own boundaries. You've mismanaged your energy. And when we take responsibility for that, we stop blaming, things actually start to change and they start to shift. And the relationships, jobs, positions, things, family, friends that are not meant to go with you in this new phase, yes, they will fall away. Sometimes without you even having to do anything, it will just happen because you have stepped into that. You are putting you first. When you have always put everyone first to the expense of yourself, when you start actually putting you first, yes, things will fall away. So this is why the work is to focus in on yourself. And if you're ready to do this work and you're ready to start sourcing your own power, I have two things for you. First, I'm going to be doing a 5-day The Shift experience inside of Telegram over 5 days. You're going to come into the channel, and over 5 days, I'm going to guide you through activations like this, where I'm actually going to pour into you as ways that you can start shifting this. And then there's going to be an integration that you're going to do to experience that real-time energetic emotional shift over those 5 days. You're going to learn how to start protecting your energy in new ways and how to stop putting and pouring all of your focus into the external and anchoring more into your own knowing, into your own intuition and your own self-trust. This is where we start with the daily devotion and the energetic practices that I teach in my programs, that I teach clients. So we're going to be doing this over 5 days inside the Telegram app. You don't need to be anywhere at a certain time, because I know the women that come in to work with me, they're busy. They don't have time to get on Zoom calls. So this is meant for the busy woman. It's meant for you if you've got lots going on and you still want to devote some time to this, but on your own time clock. So it is only $22. This would normally be a $222 program with what I'm pouring into it over 5 days. But for now, it is $22. You'll come in and do this 5 days with me and experience a rapid shift. You can head to the link in the show notes to sign up for this. And then the second is I have a brand new bundle that is called the Unshakable Woman. This is where you come in and you learn the patterns that are going on within your relationship so that you can define the truth of what is actually happening. You can start setting some boundaries around the pattern and define your needs, your non-negotiable needs, and those deal breakers so that you can start defining what those are for you and taking micro steps to align with that new version of you that does not allow her standards to be walked all over. You're going to learn how to set those initial boundaries and back them up with action. And you're going to learn the 5 levels of awakening for women that are in these relationships that I've seen over the last 13 years, and the evolution process that you have to go through to get to conviction about whether you're going to stay in this relationship that you are in or not. You're going to learn all of those pieces inside of the Unshakable Woman bundle. You can head to the link in the show notes. It's instant access, self-study, and you can dive into my most powerful teachings that I have curated purposely for you. If you are wondering about what are your next steps when you are done with this bullshit and you're ready to take the next steps, even if you don't think you're ready to leave or make a decision, that's fine. This is what the bundle is for, is to help you make more decisive actions and step into your next level identity. All right, so that wraps up this episode. I hope this has given you some food for thought. If this has resonated with you, obviously take one of those next steps to go deeper with me. It really starts on the emotional, energetic level, because a lot of times we are doing the things, consuming, binging content, podcasts, all the things. We're going to therapy and we're talking about the same thing every week over and over, and nothing is changing in our external. This is because nothing has changed on the internal. You can talk about the problem for 10 years and still not change yourself internally. So when women come in to work with me, that's exactly what we get to, is those first few tweaks, those first they're little, right? They're not necessarily life overhaul. It's where do we start making those little tweaks that are going to have a profound ripple effect in how you feel, how clear you feel, that you're not going to be knocked down for days by things not going well. You're going to be able to stay stable within your own energetic and emotional system, no matter what's going on around you. And when you learn how to do this, you do become unshakable. Anybody can be doing whatever it is they need to do around you, but you don't allow it to rock you. You have the skills now to be able to hold yourself instead of looking externally for someone else to give you that validation. All right, I'll chat with you in the next episode. Bye for now.